This is Merchandise Mart. Transfer to Brown Line trains at Merchandise Mart. Doors closing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, welcome to the Wisendale Weekly Wrap-Up. This week I got with me
Lewis Garrison.
Lewis Garrison. What's going on, my man?
Not much.
No? You like the vibrant
I like
set
it. It'll,
we got going on here?
It'll definitely keep me awake
right?
after a long day of work. The bright colors, the yellow.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, man.
Sure.
I wanted to talk to you about all the renderings and things you've been up to. And so tell us a little bit about yourself really quick.
So I'm an architect, but I run a rendering studio called Visfire. I'm also an artist on the side. I do large-scale murals.
Have you done a mural recently, or have you done any of those?
I've been so busy with, the render studio that I haven't been able to this year that much. But looking to get back into it.
Yeah.
There are some friends that still invite me
Calling
out
you
every
out.
once in a while. Yeah.
Right.
And word on the streets is I'm retired. I'm a retired graffiti writer, which no one likes to hear if they're into art and all that. But yeah, work is trying to find that balance and everything, and hopefully get back into it.
For real.
Yeah.
The one thing, like I said, that I thought that was super dope is your models in your the all over prints. What do you call them? Material override.
Material override renderings.
How did those come about?
So being in the rendering industry, you realize that you end up creating the same materials over and over again for certain projects. Well, not certain projects, all projects. There's trends that come, and there's just those hot materials that is in every architectural project. And I think it was the large format terrazzo where it kind of just ended up being all over this one project that we were working on, and I was like, what if fucking everything was large format terrazzo? But I was like, that could be cool. Like, what would that actually look like?
Yeah.
So I've been taking renderings that I've done through work, and then just it's called override material. So I use 3D Max, and that's basically a function that just puts that material on everything except for what you tell it not to.
Nice.
So I leave glass and lights alone, but then everything has that material.
Yeah.
And it's a look at the industry. It's a look at what's trending right now. It's a look at what's going around.
Have you done?
So I've done.
You've done 3 or 4.
Large format terrazzo. I just recently did Venetian plaster.
Nice.
Blush velvet is a big one.
Dude,
everything's blush.
So cool. And are they all different interiors or different buildings?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. I try to keep it different. I think the blush velvet was. One of them was a bathroom. So like a lot of the comments was like, what would it be like to, take a shit on a velvet toilet?
Right. Yeah. Pretty soft.
I did a cane material. That one is, cane is apparently coming back because I'm rendering it a lot.
Interesting. What other materials are you going to try to do?
So I plan on doing, let me think. The banana print wallpaper is one that we use a lot. And that I see a lot too. Mm-hmm. I was gonna do Corten steel.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out if that's gonna be like an exterior or interior. Because if it's an exterior, like there's a lot of like full on Corten steel buildings. So I don't know if that's interesting enough.
Yeah.
It's got to be kind of weird, maybe uncomfortable. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit! We didn't even set a timer to this thing. So check your watch there.
Right now it is 6:15.
6:15.
Yeah.
Perfect. So speaking on the buildings part, you've been doing a lot of rendering or building of the Chicago city skyscraper.
Yep.
And the reason why I bring that up is because that Palma Architects. Yeah. So was that okay? So you did can you describe to people what you did first of all?
So I've been basically building the whole city of Chicago.
Yeah, that's
in
awesome.
3D. It started off as a SketchUp model, then moved into 3ds Max, and now it's in a program called Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
And Unreal Engine is basically a video game
free,
software.
by the way?
It's still free right now, so anybody can pick it up and start, building in it. It's the same format, or it's the same program that Fortnite was built on. So it allows you to walk around.
Did you see the thing that was trending the other day about Elon Musk buying Fortnite and he shut it down?
No,
it was a joke.
Oh,
but they said that
that's hilarious.
That he bought it and then he was gonna shut it down because he didn't want kids to play it.
I suck at Fortnite. I tried it. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
it's like hide and seek and you get caught and then it's over.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great.
You've been playing Call of Duty though, right? Did you play Call of Duty?
I stick to like the same 2 games. that I know.
But that dropping in from the bus, or being Call of Duty, you're from a I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah,
a deploy plane. That shit is dope. I mean, falling like that and seeing the whole town. It's dope. Anyways, okay, so rendering the whole city, that's quite a task.
Yeah,
so started in SketchUp.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it was to see proposals throughout the city, like how they affect the skyline. I'm just sort of a nerd when it comes to like seeing into the future, and then when certain things, when certain renderings hit the market, I basically build it and find out how tall it's going to be, dimensions and whatnot, and then model it into my my skyline.
Nice. And so, can you turn off buildings like that?
Yeah. So I have a layer of unbuilt projects. Okay. So I've got like the Chicago Spire. I've got just a bunch of proposals that never happened.
So like you could turn off building
You can turn those on and off. Yeah.
Turn them on and off. Nice.
But right now, I have it sort of grouped with unbuilt projects, and then if it's proposed, it's in there. Like the Tribune 2 site and what they're proposing for the Spire site, and a bunch of West Loop projects. Those are all in there.
You got the back of the microphone or front of the microphone?
Got the.
I know. God damn it! I gotta get new microphones.
There needs to be like a grip. Or
I know.
Something.
I should have put like
maybe like a sticker.
So
when we tested it, you could tell. Like you could still hear me. So I think we're good.
I would give people this microphone, but it looks so janky that like it's bent. So I'm like, I don't want my guests.
What is this podcast?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, I'm actually touring Shure tomorrow, so hopefully, hopefully I'll get some comped microphones. Actually, no. But anyways, so then Palma did a proposed building.
Yeah, so that was one where I haven't seen too many people talking about it just because they sort of just recently released it. And I just saw the renderings online and just put it in my model just to see,
so what it would look like. You put just the renderings, or did you have to build it?
Sorry, I built it. Okay. Yeah, so I built it based off of the renderings.
Gotcha.
But since I had the whole city and everything, and it's in Unreal Engine, it didn't take very long at all,
right?
Because all that work was done beforehand, and then I just had to make.
You could. I'm sure people could. I mean, I'm sure you could sell that thing, obviously.
So one of the things I do play, like I've done videos of like the 78, and I've done videos of Lincoln Yards, and then if there's other big developments, I plan on doing like the Michael Reese site, and basically what I do is I animate it and then tag the developer, tag the architect, just so they can see it. And then it's kind of like guerrilla marketing.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
I like
I
like
kind of
doing
graffiti in its own way.
It kind of is. It's just like, I like doing art like on my own and getting the attention. Just like people stumbling upon it. And, Palma Architects, they did end up seeing it, and they said Joe Palma was watching it all morning and whatnot. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That's cool as hell. Yeah.
And it's really not for money. It's not for anything like that. But I mean, if people do want to pay me for it, I'm willing to do that.
That's always take some
cool too. But regardless, I'm going to do it anyway. So
no, that's dope. So you're talking about the other buildings and some buildings that are being proposed. I sent you over the link for the old post office.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was the first time I saw it. They introduced video with rendering video.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's definitely blending. I mean, a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, granted, everyone has a different budget, but I don't know what that budget is, but I thought that was pretty cool. Do you see that going towards that a little bit more? Like
I mean, that really is the trend, is using animation to sell a space. Yeah. I see it in my office. That's a lot of, what my guys end up having to do is incorporate our renderings into, it's usually an ad agency that's sort of organizing everything together.
Yeah.
as opposed to just a render studio doing everything from front to back. It's got to be incorporated with a story. It's got a tagline, whatever the ad agency comes up for.
Yeah, the whole marketing
sell the
campaign.
Space. It's got to fit in, and then the renderings is just like a third of the effort. But one thing I do hate.
Talk to
it's like, and I don't know if it's
for the
just
millions of listeners out there.
I really hate, and I do this all the time. In my studio, I show these animations. They're called animations, but there's only partially animation, and there's just a shit ton of like stock footage. Like you'll see this like great animation of a bar, and all of a sudden it switched to live footage of like two girls like cheersing wine or something that, and it's just like, oh god, I hate that. And then like I also hate when like the music's really corny. I didn't have the music on for the post office one. But I hate when the music is like, it's like the 300 soundtrack or something like that. And it's just like, real my God, it's like a movie trailer. It's like coming soon, this fucking space in the post office. And it's like, dude, it's just,
so what would you suggest then? What would you suggest
just
if it's not?
Light and happy, not corny. It doesn't need to sound like a cartoon.
I meant switching from VR, not VR, but switching from rendering to
I've seen it used footage lightly, where it blends in a little better. It's just jarring when it's stock footage of something that could be rendered. It's like, well, is that in the room that you're rendering? Like, why not do a close up of that?
But I mean, if you do a close up of two girls cheersing,
not that.
No,
you wouldn't want a rendering of that.
I thought that's what you use.
You just cut the two girls cheersing. Is what I'm saying. Like you don't need it. It's just I've seen some really bad stock footage used, like someone getting out of a car, like someone smiling, like two people hugging. It's really weird. And like this is like amenity space type stuff. It gets even worse with offices. You see like someone like typing, or like a random boardroom that clearly isn't in the space. Like you can tell, like, well, that's not. That's just me though. Like I don't know if like from like a leasing standpoint or from like someone who's looking to lease a space and they're like, well, what's it going to be like? Maybe they do want to see people going hard in a boardroom.
Well, I mean, they right, but they don't know what it takes to get that shit done. I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them do, and hopefully the brokers or people who are the leasing team like kind of explains how they got to it.
Right.
But,
what I do like is when ad agencies get out and get original footage. If the building's going to be in the West Loop, they get footage of the West Loop, or they get footage of. But sometimes they overdo it. Like there's some times where it's just like 60 seconds of like the L train and the bean and just because it's like in Chicago, right? You got to like show Chicago, and there's like drone footage of the skyline and like. You're like half a minute into it, and you don't even know what the fuck the building looks like, where it's at. It's in Chicago.
Well, I mean,
there's the bean.
Those are attracting people who have businesses across. So it's someone from New York, or some rancher down from Texas trying to figure out what Chicago's about.
I'm not from New York, but I've seen animations of buildings going up in New York.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, like the intro is so long, it feels like the beginning of the Saturday Night Live. Like, where like cuts around and everything. There's like people and like taxis and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, is this a building? Like, get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to keep it on the tip of that, like, what's going on with VR? Like, what do you see trending in that whole realm? Do you see it working as far as? I guess I have two questions after that one, but yeah, talk to me about VR. What do you
I can only speak to the architectural part of it.
Yeah.
Because I know like the entertainment industry and gaming and all that stuff, it's bigger.
Yeah.
A lot of like exhibits utilize it, education, that and AR and VR are kind of, I don't want to say they're lumped together because they're completely different things, but utilization is kind of the same.
People who don't know what VR and AR do lump them together.
They do, yeah, which is.
But I think with I remember reading an article about like co-working spaces or just workspaces. Like if you put on the headset, and then I'm at work, I put on the headset, you put on the headset, you're at home, we're in the same office. Right? Like, do you think that's something that would actually catch on? Or
what I do see happening is not necessarily putting something on your face, but being on your phone, being at your desktop, being in a boardroom with a big screen TV, and then interacting that way with a digital space, and that can be online on a server, and then someone from China and someone from Chicago can walk around a space together. It doesn't necessarily need to be on your face. You know, in my studio.
I guess I'm picturing conferencing. What are you saying right there? You're saying
digitally being inside a space. So like the way you would if you had a headset on.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what you see, you're in a space, you have the headset on, everything's digital, and then sharing that space with someone else, or yourself. You know, like just experiencing a space by yourself. But it's, as far as architecture goes, it's fun. You know, it's cool. Like we do it all the time in the office.
Yeah.
It's great. You know, it can be funny. We make, you know, pieces of furniture movable, and everybody just wants to like trash the place. They just want to like, oh, does the computer fucking move? Can I throw this? And like, but yeah, like,
it feels like that's like a natural reaction. Right?
Yeah, and it's fun to have it. You know, like happy hours and you know like marketing events where people are drinking. And like, yeah, I'll put the fucking headset on.
Absolutely.
Like, let me give a go at it.
Yeah.
But when it goes to like, you know, in the office, and the other thing you have to think about is, you know, people are self-conscious about putting something on their face, right?
Sure.
Whereas we have the same exact experience, but just on a TV, or a phone or tablet or something like that, and they'll interact with it a lot longer than, you know, putting the headset on.
Yeah.
They'll put it on, they'll be like, oh, okay, cool, I've seen it. You know, everyone's looking at me.
Yeah.
And
Did you notice the NBA released those courtside seats this year? This might be the second year that they've done it. But the NBA now, if you buy the league pass, you put on the Oculus.
Yeah,
it's their cameras courtside, and you're watching the game, audio, everything courtside.
Wow.
It's
I've seen so concerts dope. Like that.
Okay, nice.
And they just have, I don't know if it's a drone or something, but you can like be in the concert.
Yeah.
I think there's a Portlandia episode that actually. It's like we're at the concert. This is so much easier.
What concerts have you been to lately?
Lately, not too much lately. I'm trying to
Is
think.
Is that because the mid closed? What do you go to?
Yeah,
now?
the mid closed. That was, I really liked going to the mid.
Have you been to Prism?
I have been to Prism.
Yeah,
and it is like the same staff too. I love it. It's like, oh man, it's like this is great. The DJs they get to go there are a little more mainstream than what the mid used to be. I mean, the mid used to just have everything.
Sure.
Like they had underground stuff, and then they had popular stuff.
Do you know what restaurant that was, or where they went to, or did they just disappear?
I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
But
no way. I went and saw Diplo at Prism.
Yeah,
and he was on for like 45 minutes at like 2 a.m. to like 3 a.m.
You're probably waiting all night. Like, fucking
no,
come
we actually
on.
got there at 1 a.m. Like we went home.
I think you told me about it.
We took a nap.
Hey, there's been many nights where I took a nap, then woke up to go to the mid. Because sometimes that's just what you have to do. Now I'm like impatient. Now that I've like seen everything, I'm kind of like, all right, just like,
did you make
is
it back
this
to
worth it?
Tech Fest this year or Movement? Tech
No,
Fest.
I haven't.
No.
Yeah, that's one that I'd like to go to.
So no concerts. I sent you that Alt J website. That was pretty cool.
Oh my god, that was hilarious.
Right? The bear shitting. I think I've seen.
Did you see it?
I think I must not.
So you didn't know what I was talking about, and I was like, "Oh, the bear taking a shit."
Yeah, is that part of the? So for people who haven't seen it, it's a virtual reality experience of Alt J's music album.
Yeah,
and so you can go you use your directional arrows on your keypad, and then you can see the different areas that will play different music when you go in the area. Is that?
Yeah.
And then once you go up to something, it does something, right? So one of the bears was shitting. Is that what you're saying?
You go up to it, and then a YouTube video plays of a bear.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like, cool, there's a bear, and he just starts taking a shit. And then it just loops again. So I'm like, all right, not going back to that spot.
This is true. But see, like that's a cool way of integrating the technology as far as VR, not VR, but like
when technically that's not VR, right? You're using it's more approachable that way.
Yeah,
it can be online. It can
you can experience it.
Right.
You know?
You can send it to your friends.
Absolutely, and that's how actually I got it. Was a friend sent it to me.
Right. And that's how we're doing it at work too. Because I mean, the headset thing, people ask for VR and then they end up just being okay with like a link that works that you can interact with.
Yeah, we do that too at my work. Like it's just a directional arrow or click and so. What was I gonna say? And then, I mean, I know you guys use the slider, right? Where you do the rendering versus the photo.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that taking away from like the hand sketches? Do you think? I mean, obviously, I'm talking to someone who's pro rendering and not sketching. But what do you think about that? Do you think it's because a lot of clients, they'll be like, oh, well, that's what I want it to look like. Why doesn't it look like that? And it's like, oh, well, it's a rendering. Like the furniture may change or whatever it may be. How do you combat that?
Well, I mean, as far as my studio goes, the architect usually can sketch. So if they're happy with sketches, the job usually doesn't get to me. If they come to me asking for sketches, it's like, well, you're a fucking architect. Like, sketch it yourself. But yeah, I mean, usually, we stick to the high end stuff.
Yeah.
And there's definitely studios and architects that they just want that look.
Right.
The reason why I come into the mix is because there's clients that either have a lot of money and they want to market the space, or they just don't get the space. They don't understand it through sketches. They don't understand, Revit 3D views. Mm-hmm. They're like, why does this look gray when the ceiling's supposed to be white? And it's like, well, those are shadows and you can't really tell, and they get confused. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, we'll do it all the way.
Right.
We'll do it all the way, but you got to pay for it.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I sent you that. I sent you and then the augmented reality.
Yeah.
That that company from Virginia who did the augmented reality for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Right?
So good. So we were actually watching that already. It was like through AT&T or something too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like I love that shit.
So
like,
for those of you, for the millions of listeners out there,
hi millions of listeners.
It's basically a kiosk where attendees of a football game can go up to the screen. They pick the players that they want to take a photo
from the
with,
roster. They're like, these are my favorites.
And then, so you pick them all out, and then you stand there for a second, and then the football players come out
and have a photo with you.
Take a photo with you. Like, that's super.
It's so good.
So dope.
Yeah.
So good.
It's really cool.
I mean, do you think that what other creative ways do you think augmented reality, or was that considered augmented, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What other ways do you think that will kind of? I mean,
it's going to thrive in the entertainment industry, like things like that. I think as far as design goes, it's going to be more. It's going to lean more towards like the art industry, like things like that. Architecture, no one's really asking for it, so it's hard for it to find a place because no one's like, yeah, I want like. And then when we get to DD, let's get some augmented reality going. Like, no one really like asks for it. And so like most of the stuff that comes out of the architecture industry that's augmented reality, it's usually because the architect just wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, this is a pretty cool opportunity to do this for the client. Mm-hmm. The client usually doesn't ask for it, from what I've seen.
Programmed into, not programmed as in like technically programmed, but programmed as in like spatial programmed into a space, like, oh, well, you're in the left wing and that is the augmented reality wing, or I don't know, like, I'm just thinking,
I don't know,
as far as architecture wise, because you need space, right? You need space to have it done,
right? You're also limited to what you're viewing it on, so if it's an iPad or your phone, you're just limited to that. I mean, there's like the HoloLens, but I don't know if you've put that on. It looks like shit.
What's
like
it's
a screen on your face instead of viewing it through your iPhone.
Okay.
But it's got like a 6-inch window. So as soon as it steps out of that 6-inch window, you can't see the image anymore.
Interesting.
So if there's a huge dragon in front of you, you see 6 inches of scales instead of like a giant dragon in front of you. And the Magic Leap, there's a bunch of video, like marketing videos, and it's all like edited and posts. Like, look, you see, the one video that people keep sending me and my team is like the classroom seeing a whale like do a big dive inside of a gym. It's supposed to be like a classroom of these kids looking at this whale, and it's like, oh man, have you seen this? This is crazy. And it's like, yeah, they added the whale in the video. It's like, well, isn't it what the kids are seeing? It's like, no. Like,
so are the kids reacting to the video?
Yeah, I mean, it's all staged. Like, a lot of it's staged. It's just like, wow, we can see this fucking whale. And it's like, no, it's just edited to look like they can see a whale.
How do you know it's edited?
because you can. It's just that's how the video is. You can tell. Yeah, it's just like they took a video, they got kids cheering, and then they added a video of a whale, crashing in the waves.
Oh, they like layered it on.
Yeah.
Well, how about that one of the that lobby over in China where it's like it's a lobby wall and then 2 elevator banks, one on the left, one on the right, and then there's like a bunch of video graphics that go along that wall of like.
So that's actually there. That's like LED screens.
Yeah, the LED screens. Yeah. Right. But that's all programmed. I mean, that's someone had to create all of that. Is that in After Effects, or what do you think that's?
There's a few programs I've seen people use. Like I personally don't know how that stuff works. Like my team might. Like Touch Designer is a program that I've seen people use. But yeah, that's. Motion graphics is that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
it's just a bunch of trippy things moving around and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how to even. Where do you start?
Well, we went to 150 North Riverside, I believe it was the address there, and I don't know if you've ever been in the lobby there. It's the tall one right off of Lake, and they have like
it goes like this.
Yeah. The V. He's making a V motion, and so when if you go in the lobby, there's a huge like screen, and it always kind of changes.
Yeah, I know the guys that made that.
Yeah, and so my coworker was like, "Wow, like they change that all the time." Like, well, you have to program for that. You have to like build that into your budget with installing something like that. Which a lot of people don't think about. As far as the space.
There's a team that I'm sure they made a lot of money, but they sat and designed all of that. They mocked it up because I talked to the guys that built it. They actually mocked it up in Unreal Engine so that you could walk around in the space, a 3D space, and look at their project, how it would look inside of the finished building, because the building wasn't built yet. It's a brand new building.
So they mocked up the space so you could walk in, and then you could then see the.
Yep. Yeah. All for mocking up something that would play on these like slats, these slat displays. It was really cool. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
God damn. What other cities are you going to try to do the full mock-up? I know it's large.
I'd like to do New York. I actually traveled there. It's about a month now. I went to Afropunk Festival. That was a show I went to.
Nice.
That was awesome.
Where was that?
A lot of fun. It was in Brooklyn.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was great. Just did one day there and then just did a bunch of sightseeing.
Yeah. Did you see the vessel?
Yep, saw the vessel.
Did you see the one across the shed? That's the one.
Saw the shed
next door.
Yep. Yeah. My girlfriend had never been.
Okay.
So I had to take her around and show her everything.
Times Square and all that.
Yeah, Times Square. We did Times Square actually at like 4 a.m. So there's nobody there, which is the best time to go to Times Square. It was like super romantic. It was great.
If you go a street over, there's people there.
Yeah.
Which is the red light. It used to be the red light. I don't think it is anymore.
Nah.
If you go more,
it was nice.
Streets over west.
It was fun.
Nice. When did you do that?
I think it was like a month ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wait, what were we talking about?
What cities I'm going to build?
Cities. Oh, yeah.
New York is definitely going to be one of them.
Yeah.
And then probably something on the West Coast, like something in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Are you thinking about doing like, I hate to bring this up, but Second Life? Do you remember that? Have you ever heard of Second Life? Like back in the day?
Yeah.
Where people used to sell like homes that they could do model.
I'm surprised that's still around.
Is it still around?
I think
wonder.
so.
Is it really?
I think it's still around.
Damn, Second Life. Wow. My God. So like you can then, in theory, sell those.
I mean, I haven't thought of how I'm going to like sell the Chicago model or like any of these models I build, but it would be nice to utilize it in a way.
I wouldn't sell it. Don't sell it.
Yeah.
Don't sell it.
It would be nice to make one for a company and sort of filter it to only be their portfolio, right? So whether it's buildings, architecture, leasing, or something that has nothing to do with architecture that just needs that visual pizzazz or, something. It'd be fun to do something like that. Because otherwise it's just fun to look at and it's just entertainment and I'm going to, do it regardless.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it.
And what about drones? You guys are getting into drones too, right?
Yeah. So one of my guys just got his drone license. We actually flew it last week for a project. Nice. He's already a pro. He's doing it like he's been doing it for years. I don't know how any of that stuff works. Like he showed me the stuff he had to study for his test, and it's like, are you studying to become a pilot?
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's like, jeez.
Yeah, there was another guy who used to work at a firm that he was studying too, and like he was like, yeah, it's pretty serious. Like you gotta know winds and all that shit. So
I'm sure now that he's studied, he's like, it's easy stuff.
So are you using that for like site photos, or how does that? Or is it scanning as well?
Yeah, well, we take photos so that we don't have to build the whole city. So a lot of times we'll get aerials for towers, and they'll want us to, do an aerial shot with, Chicago in the background or West Loop or something like that. And instead of, building all of that, which we can do also, it just takes longer and costs more. It's a lot easier to just have a photo and then photo merge the 3D model into that photo and blend it in. And, the whole thing looks like a photograph in the end if you're doing your job right. But yeah, that's usually how we use the drone. And then, we'll use it for, other stuff, for fun stuff.
Are there a lot of people in Chicago doing this? I mean, I feel like there's a few, but I don't know. I feel like it's a handful. I guess.
For the most part, it's for video production.
Okay.
And, marketing and, advertising, stuff like that. As far as renderings, it's just for having a background photo. For the most part, or if you get footage, you can incorporate it into an animation if they're willing to pay for that, because that's a whole separate software trying to photo match a moving 3D model inside of moving footage. It's a whole other thing.
You're saying different than the screen slider?
Yeah, because once things are moving, you're having to camera track your 3D model to move the same position as your camera is moving, so that the perspective matches where the camera.
Live video.
Yeah, live video. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then,
we do?
What would the live video camera be recording that you would want?
It's just footage. It's footage, but then to put the 3D model in, moving footage takes a little bit more work than like a still image, where it's just like there and gone.
Yeah. Man, I thought Matterport was fucking cool. And you're doing all this, but Matterport does like the basically just scanning.
That's all and like really it's funny because people keep sending me links to that. They're like, look at this. It's kind of like the fucking 360s you do. And it's like, except they didn't have to build the content. I want to encourage
Lewis's coworkers to keep sending him links. Don't listen. He sounds like he doesn't want any links. Keep sending him links.
I met some of the guys that work at Matterport, and they're great guys, and they're what they're doing is great for finished. It's basically comparing a photographer to a renderer. It's kind of like, well, did you see these? And it's like, that's great. That's not what we do. We render space that doesn't exist. And we do 360s and panoramas and stuff like that. And a lot of people will see Matterport 360s and panoramas and be like, look, it's what Lewis does.
Right.
And it's like, well, these are photos. Like they took their robot and took photos and then stitched it together, and that's it.
Right.
Whereas we built everything.
The product specification from it though as well, right? That's Matterport's
their software.
It's like you can click on the wall. Oh, which by the way, if you guys are viewing, we are in the Scandinavian Spaces on the 11th floor in this very colorful showroom. We're in the
is this going to be a video, or you haven't figured it out yet?
No, this is going to be video.
Oh, great.
Absolutely. So it's going to be video.
Where's hair and makeup?
It's going to be... I need a team. And if you are looking to sponsor or to have us in one of your showrooms, definitely reach out. Anyways, big shout out to Buckley Redner again for having us into the Scandinavian Spaces showroom. So, Matterport rendering... what was I going to say? Dead air. Anyways, Matterport, where do you see, I guess, everything going from here? How about that?
I don't know. That's a tough one. With Matterport or with my stuff?
With your stuff. With your stuff, man.
With my stuff, I think it'll get more interactive. I also think there will be a lot more ease of use when it comes to server-based stuff. Okay. That's kind of the next step, is getting all of this to not run on your machine. Because that's a problem we have with a lot of our high-tech stuff is that as soon as you give it to the client, they run it on their Windows 95, and they're like, well, it's not working.
Sure. So you would need it to be
it's
web-based.
Like, shit. Once it's web-based, you're running off of servers somewhere else, and it's just streaming it like a YouTube video or something, and it's not taxing their machine. It's not using the technology behind their phone. But that's all new stuff as far as the software we're using. That's going to become easier, and you're going to see more of it. You're going to see more like, click this link, and suddenly you're in this, crazy product that someone built. Right now, it's like, here's a thumb drive, and like maybe you can put it on a server, but you have to pay monthly for the server, and only big companies can do that right now.
Yeah.
Soon it'll be easier. It'll just be, streaming.
So everything would be cloud-based almost.
Yep.
Huh.
Kind of like Netflix, like.
Yeah. Speaking of, are you watching anything on Netflix right now? Or anything?
What am I watching? Schitt's Creek is hilarious.
Never seen it.
Oh man, you gotta watch it. Schitt's Creek's hilarious. I still watch The Walking Dead. It's like kind of getting better again.
Never watched that either.
Never watched it?
No,
What? Oh man.
Never seen a Star Wars either. So.
What?
Yeah, no. I don't know.
Oh man, you gotta watch. You gotta start with the old ones.
Going back to the movie and the VR, John Wick 3. Did you see that video where they were doing all the what in John Wick 3? What was CGI and what was him acting? I thought I saw that you
I don't
like
think
that.
I've seen that.
Oh my god, dude! That movie. Have you seen John Wick 3?
Yes.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's definitely all CGI and
really
definitely all like the virtual reality. Pretty much.
I mean, cool. Keanu Reeves is good at. What he does though, there's his training videos, and he's out doing Navy SEALs and shit at the shooting range, breaking all their records. I was like, oh my gosh, can actually do this,
right? So where can people find your work? How about that?
So visfire.net is my company's website.
Where
it has
Visfire?
all of our.
Where does that name come from?
So it wasn't taken. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's part of it, right? I went through a lot of names, trying to figure out, a name. Viz comes from ArcViz, which it's a common term in the architectural industry. It just means, architectural visualization.
Gotcha.
The funny thing is, though, we're leaning towards everything and not just architecture.
Yeah.
Basically because, my team can make apps and interactive stuff, and it doesn't need to be an interactive dealing with architecture. It can be, a platform for a company. It can be marketing. It can be branding. It can sell a product, but it all uses the same product, or it all uses the same programs. So, why limit yourself to architecture?
How many people do you have in your team?
So I have 2 staff, and then I have a BD team.
Okay, cool.
And me.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, that's where Viz comes from, and then Fire just
so visfire.net.
Visfire.net, nice. Yeah. And then Lewis Garrison is my YouTube. I post a bunch of stuff on there. And then I just made an art station where those override material renderings are going to show up.
What's an art station?
Art station is basically, it's mostly video game based artists.
Okay.
And I'm new to ArtStation, so sorry if I'm butchering what ArtStation's for. So far, I've
never heard
seen,
of it. That's awesome.
It's digital art.
Okay.
But for the most part, it looks video game based, I think. So there's not a lot of architecture on there yet. So my stuff might look kind of weird to the common audience of that, but it all deals with rendering and digital art and CGI and stuff like that. So
can you do bubble wrap as a texture?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
If everything was bubble wrapped, I'm thinking of the transparency.
If it was popular, I was thinking. So what I was gonna do was just because street art is a trend to have inside of your office.
Yeah, I hope that's.
I was gonna do some of my art.
I hope that's
and just plaster
trend.
It all over the fucking walls.
Oh yeah,
the whole thing would be my graffiti, which would be great. Yeah. That'd be hilarious.
I remember and thank you. I'm trying to do some wall covering. Remember I hit you up about that.
Oh right, yeah.
Weisendale's gonna come out with some wall covering next NeoCon, so be on the lookout for that. But okay. So Visfire, art store, wasn't there?
ArtStation.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can look up my name, Lewis Garrison, to find my ArtStation, or if it like spits out some profile name.
Yeah.
But Lewis Garrison on YouTube is basically my YouTube, and you can see progress on my Chicago model. I usually add buildings as they come out, tag the architects, see if I can get some animation work
Yeah.
out of it. Guerrilla marketing for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll catch up next year. Not next year.
I should come back and do this again.
you should come on and do it again for sure.
For sure.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Your safety is important. If you observe unattended packages, vandalism, or suspicious activity, inform CTA personnel immediately.